Sometimes it feels like the sun will never rise, like the birds will never sing again. Believe in a power greater than what you are going through. When you don't know what to do, keep breathing.
All right, that's right. When you don't know what to do, just keep on breathing. From the City of Angels in Los Angeles. And I forgot where my co-host is from. I think San Diego, right?
South of Los Angeles, San Diego, bordering
All right.
with Orange County.
So the West
right
Coast
below.
is well represented here. Welcome to all my listeners out there in Radio Land. I'm Dave, the Caregiver's Caregiver, at caregiverdave.com, along with my lovely co-host, Penta Vahidi, coming to you live and on demand 24/7 on 25 global audio and video platforms, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Facebook Live, SoundCloud, Blog Talk Radio, and 20 more platforms all around the world. We're so proud to be voted #1 caregiver podcast of the top 50 on Player FM and one of the top 6 best podcasts by Caring.com, as well as #3 podcast out of thousands on Caregiver podcasts on FeedSpot. And we have an exciting show planned for you today, don't we, Panta?
We sure do, and I'm so glad to be here to welcome Gail.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Welcome to you too.
So it's Gail Hamilton, Living Blind, How to Mature, Guide, and Empower Your Clientele. Gail is blind. She's a nationally recognized motivational, inspirational speaker and accomplished author who happens to be totally blind. Many people allow their fears, negativities, and self-blinding beliefs to stop them from experiencing life to the fullest. And this is not the case with Gail. She motivates, educates, exhilarates her audiences unlike any other speaker, and to open their eyes and refocus their vision in order to live unstoppable, unforgettable, and unbelievable lives. And it was a challenge for her to connect on this website, and anyone else would have given up, eyes or no eyes, but she persevered. But before I go forward, I want to take this moment to thank my last week's guest, Robert Eli Kershaw, Jr. Bob became a caregiver of sorts at the age of 10 when he met a young boy at the same age who had Down syndrome, and his story is also on all of those platforms I just mentioned and caregiverdave.com. And just a reminder, you can watch or listen to that interview and all our interviews, including this one, on our membership website, caregiverdave.com, as well as all the other platforms. All right, enough of that. Welcome to the show, Gail.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Okay, so, Gail, I like to ask my guests, why don't you take a minute or two, introduce yourself. I like to say, just who is Gail Hamilton, and why were you put on this earth?
Well, yeah, who is she? The jury's still out on that one, I think. I think I'm put on this earth to inspire people, but because I spent so much of my life being a victim, and I really want to assist people in, 50 years out of whatever I have left on the planet is way too long to be a victim. And
Absolutely.
so, if I could have learned that my mental attitude was the key, it wasn't my blindness that was stopping me, it was my brain. And if I could have learned that what I was thinking and that was the reason, then of course it was a great learning experience, and that's who I am today. But it would have been great to have learned that 25 years before that and saved a lot of grief. So if I could save somebody else from spending one more second longer than they have to being a victim of their circumstances, then my job here is done.
The Bible says people who have not vision perish. And there are so many people who have sight but no vision. And here you have no sight and you have vision. And
Right.
What a great message to everybody, sight people and people who cannot see. And I know there's probably a term that I don't know what it is. What is the term
You
When you
know,
talk
I just
about
learned over the weekend it's blind people. Through my whole book, I wrote
blind
people
people.
who are blind and or visually impaired. All the way through my book, I wrote that. People who are blind and or visually impaired. That's 8 words, but it really is blind people.
You are so funny.
I know.
So let's start with the most obvious question, and I'm sure my guest host has the same question. How did you become blind?
Came blind 1953. I was 2.5 months premature. I weighed 2 pounds, and they
Oh
put me and
my.
my twin brother in separate incubators. And because we were 2.5 months premature, they gave us 100% pure oxygen for
Mm.
24/7 for 6 weeks. So the fact that it was 100% and the fact that it was for that long without stopping is what affected my eyes. My brothers weren't, and I had partial sight until I was 11, and then I went totally blind with cataracts.
And
So,
your twin brother, I'm sorry,
yeah, he's fine.
it's fine.
A little bit. Doo-doo-doo-doo. No, I'm teasing. That
Wow.
was a
So
joke.
did they not know that that's not good? I mean,
Yeah, no, 90% of the people who are blind that are my age are blind from that fact between 1950 and 1954.
it was a common practice.
Yeah, they still do it nowadays, but now they know not to do it for 24/7, and they know to tell the parents, here's what we're going to do. This will save your baby's life, and here could be the consequences. Back then, interesting fact, if they would have kept me in the incubator longer, I would have been not only blind but deaf. And if they kept
Wow.
on going, I would have been blind, deaf, and development delayed. So I'm kind of glad they stopped at blind.
I always thought
Because
oxygen was a good thing, but it just goes to show you that you can have too much of a good thing, right?
that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
What they say.
Too much of anything is not.
Yeah. Moderation.
ice cream, steak.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
tired of it
Absolutely.
eventually.
Yeah. Nuts. Yeah.
So, how did your friends and your family and your teachers and society react to your disability? Because a lot of people, kind of like me, we just don't know how to act with a disabled person, whether they're blind, whether they're speech impaired. Of course, I've gotten really good at that one. Oh, and
Yeah.
any other disability, people are just not disability savvy, are they? They
No.
should be teaching us this in grade school or something.
Absolutely. That's a great idea. Disability class 101. I like that idea.
Sesame Street, I think, was trying to do something like that.
Yeah.
They would bring disabled people on,
Huh.
and we need more of that.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Why not?
We need more
Maybe.
compassion.
Yeah.
Compassion.
And
It's always
yeah.
that word, compassion. It's good for
compassion.
you.
Yeah. 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 Because we all have differences. It's just nobody's like ever the same as anybody else, so yeah. And I think they think we have leprosy, or they don't know what to do. They don't talk to us, and it's kind of funny because they think I don't know they're there. And it's like, I hear them. I know they're there, and I have a thing in the back of my book that says Pearls of Wisdom, and I have like a list of 11 things your friends and family can do to assist you. It's like, invite me to a movie, because I still watch movies or see TV. I just do it with my ears, but people think I think our society is so visual oriented that they just don't know what to do with somebody who can't connect with them through sight. And it's too bad, because they're missing a whole bunch that I can do anything they can do, and probably better. Blind people, there's 60% unemployment in the blind community. It's not because we're stupid or anything. I have 2 master's degrees, but I've never been hired per se. So it's crazy. It's not my blindness that's stopping me. I heard the other day from 60 Minutes, there was a blind architect that designs buildings. It's like, who would have thought you could do that? Yeah. So
it reminds me of that song, anything you can
I know,
do,
I was just
can
thinking
do
that.
better.
Better. I can do anything. Yep.
better than you.
No, you can't.
Have a
Yes, I can.
stronger visualization ability than most of
Oh
us.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I think.
we have a lot of visual distractions
Mhm.
all the time, and we barely take time to close our eyes other than when we're ready to sleep. And so you have a stronger visualization, I would think. And I also think it's not that people don't consider that you can see. I think a lot of it comes from lack of knowledge and just ignorance of not knowing what goes on in your life. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think
Right.
people could use more education, and I also am a fan of calling it, you live a different life. I wouldn't call it a disability,
Right.
because I also know that people who are weaker in one sense have amplified senses otherwise,
Right.
because the compensatory system in your body just makes your hearing, for example, a lot
Right. Right.
sharper and stronger than my hearing is, because that's the miracle of your body does. It compensates. So I wouldn't call it a disability. It's a
Just a
different
difference. Is
way
that what
of
you said?
life, and
Yeah.
we could all use more education and
Mm.
people like you to
Yeah.
inspire us. So thank you for stepping out of your victim mode and being a victor and inspiring others.
Yeah.
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 So you officially don't have a disability anymore. We
Okay,
officially
great.
claimed it, okay?
Yay. Okay, good.
So let's talk about the do's and don'ts, because that's really interesting, because you sent me
You like
this this really cool list. Do talk normally. Don't yell. They're not deaf. The next one, let them take your arm. Don't grab them or push them forward. These seem
Oh,
kind
people
of
do that all the
intimidating.
time. All the time.
Talk about the rest of them. You probably know them by
Oh,
heart.
I don't, but yeah.
All right, talk to them directly.
Yes.
You,
Don't
you
say
know the
what does
don't
she
to that,
want to.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't say what does she want for dinner, or yeah. People
The
do that all
third
the time
person.
too. Yeah.
So I'll do the do's, you do the don'ts.
Okay.
Keep your language the same as before. Using words like see and watch are okay.
Yep. Yep. Don't go. Oh yeah. Don't. Did you listen to the movie? Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times we were trying to get you on the thing, and I was telling the guy, "Oh, do you see that yet?" And I'm saying, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I don't
Oh no, it's fine.
know."
But I
And
didn't see it.
but you are a visual person, because
I
visual
am a
persons
visual person.
say
Yeah.
you see that audio persons say, "Oh yeah, I hear you," and
Yeah.
kinesthetic people say, "Oh, I'm feeling you." My
Yeah.
wife
Yeah. Yeah.
can't speak; she's nonverbal. So,
Mhm.
like you said, Vahidi, she has that's your last name.
Different.
Sorry.
Yeah.
She
Different.
has
It lives life differently.
well,
Yeah. I like that.
they
Living life
say
differently.
that communication is 85% nonverbal, and she has mastered those nonverbal
Wow.
skills,
Hmm.
tonality and gestures and touching and expressions and this and that,
That's
that
awesome.
we take for granted.
Hmm.
Leave objects and lights as you found them in their home.
Oh yeah, people do that all the time. They'll put a glass on the piano and it's like, oh, I'm so glad I knocked that off.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
pulling chairs out from tables, we should leave them
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah. Or leaving the cabinet doors open. Yeah. Special. Or leaving the
Yeah.
lights on. And I don't know about it until 2 or 3 days later when somebody else comes in and goes, your light's on. Did you know that? It's like,
Hmm.
I
So you
figure it
don't
makes up for the times when I forget to turn
Wow.
them off.
Things
so
we
you
don't
don't
think
even
about.
You don't see light, huh? You don't
No.
see, like,
No.
if I close my eyes and the light's on, I can still see something going
Yeah.
on
No.
there through
Yeah.
the
No.
eyelids.
Yeah. No. Well, I have
Um,
prosthetics now, so yeah, I ain't seen nothing.
so walk slightly behind the right shoulder
Ah.
when walking with someone using a seeing eye dog.
Yep. Yep. People want to guide the dog to guide me.
Mm,
They don't trust that the dog is
yeah,
going to do the dog's job.
dog doesn't need any help.
No, dog doesn't. And neither do I. Even if I had a cane, I don't need any help. Leave me alone. Only if I'm
So,
going to fall down a flight of stairs, then you can bother me.
so
Tell me
there's a
about
whole
it.
bunch more, and
Yeah.
but you get the idea. So just be normal around them.
Be normal, yeah.
And that's what my wife likes too. She doesn't want people, because a lot of people don't know how to react to someone who can't speak. They'll ask question after question after question.
Mm-hmm.
And, my wife will answer them through her Pictionary and charades. It's an effort.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's an effort worth getting to know my wife by doing that. And the people who have done it are very happy and pleased to do that. And I'm sure getting to know you, like I didn't know you had a master's degree. Wow.
Two of them.
Smart. Oh, two. Yes. One
two. Yeah, no. Had to do two. Yeah.
So what was the aha moment when you realized that you were blind and all of the implications that come with that?
Yeah. So when I was 11, I had partial sight still. We went to the World's Fair, and I can remember seeing there was, I think it was called I want to say ionosphere, but I don't think that's right. Some kind of sphere. And it was a big globe, and it had fountains underneath it. And I remember seeing that. And later that summer, I rode my bike, and I crashed and burned going into the West Sun on a driveway embankment. And I must have known something was up then, because I walked my bike home, and I said, oh, never going to do that again, by myself anyway. And so, and I started running into things. I started falling over stuff and into walls and all that. And I couldn't.
Slowly.
Yeah, because it was cataracts, but nobody knew that. My parents were in total denial, back to that. And so I couldn't figure, and the interesting thing, my inner vision, my imagination, whatever you want to call it, kind of took over at the same time as my outer vision went away. So in my head, which is still true to this day, I visualize my world, and I'll run into a wall and I'll go, oh, still blind. Like, it shocks me because I'm visualizing my environment all the time, and I forget. I mean, I have a talking computer and Braille computers and Braille all over my microwave and everywhere else, and tags on my clothes, and I have a cane now, but I'm waiting for my 6th dog. I'm obviously blind, but I forget it. So,
yeah,
it'd be you.
Oh, wait a
So
minute,
Because that's your world.
Because it was my world, and I visualize everything, and I'm a visual learner. And so all this stuff was happening to me on the exterior, and my parents weren't talking about it because they were in denial. And so one day I went to school. I went, am I blind or am I not? I got to find out. I don't know what's going on. Blah. And so I took a piece of paper that had raised lines, and I wrote my name on it in print, in cursive. No, it had to be in print. I didn't know cursive then. And I got to the L in Gail, and I went, I'm going to put a line from the end of the L in Gail. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of the page. And if I can see that, I'll know that's ugly, and I'll know that I can see. Now, if I can't see it, then I can still visualize it as nice and beautiful, and then I know I'm blind. And I drew the Gail, and I drew the line, and I couldn't see it, and then I knew for sure. That was my confirmation for me that, okay, you are blind.
It must have been paralyzingly fearful for you, no?
Yeah, it was sad, and I had no one to talk to about it, and no resources, and no, I'm sorry, or nothing like, none of that was ever in my family. 3 years later, when I had one of those little teenage kind of blow-ups, I said, you don't even know why I'm blind, and you never took me to see, how come, and all that. And they took me to the eye doctor and went, oh, she has cataracts. But, they took them 3, and they said, well, because you waited so long, because you were in denial. They didn't say that. But there's nothing that could be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they just said,
Were you anticipating going completely blind? Had the doctors said
no.
in the future that's something that may happen?
No. I had no idea. Yeah.
Listen,
so you
we're going
weren't
to take a
mentally
break.
prepared.
No.
Take a break.
Well, and we didn't talk about it either. Yeah.
Well, when we come back, I want to talk about if you had any suicidal thoughts or anything like that, depression, the grief process. So We'll be right back. Don't go away. Dave Nassani, the Caregiver's Caregiver, has just released his 6th book entitled It's My Life Too, Thrive to Stay Alive as a Caregiver. It was specifically written for caregivers who know they should be putting their needs first, but just don't know how. Dave is the sole caregiver to his wife, Charlene, since 1996. He knows firsthand what caregivers are going through because he is one. He now speaks all across the country, offering caregivers his amazing caregiver support package. Even the airlines tell us that in the event of an emergency, to put your oxygen mask on first before you help your child with their mask. They know that those who don't heed their advice often black out, thus becoming unable to help either themselves or their child. And caregivers are exactly the same way. It's my life too. Thrive and stay alive as a caregiver will help caregivers who are neglecting their sleep, diet, and social life and learn to put their needs first. Pick up your copy today or buy one for your special caregiver. On sale everywhere and at caregiverdave.com. And we're back with Panta'a Vahidi and my guest, Gail Hamilton. And we're talking about being blind. And let's talk about the grief process. You know, they say anytime we suffer loss, we go through a process of grief. You know, the denial, we've spoken about that, and then the bargaining and the anger and the depression and the acceptance. And I'm curious because I'm sure that when you eventually got to depression, when you tried everything else, that you might have had some suicidal thoughts, or maybe you actually tried to take your life. Speak about those dark times.
Yeah, you know, when I was a teenage, you know, I think I've been depressed my entire life.
Wow.
I was abused as a kid, mentally and physically, sexually. I don't know if I knew it then, but I was. In high school, I was definitely depressed. And blindness I always say it takes every aspect of my life except sleeping, you know, but it affects everything. And I was always behind in school. I never was caught up with my classmates. We didn't have computers. We didn't have easy ways of transcribing stuff, and it was all done by hand. So it was hard, and I was always felt different than. I always felt left out. I always was behind. So that was high school. That was grade school. College wasn't so bad. Master's wasn't so bad as far as all that goes. There's some discriminations along those years too, which we could go into, but they're because of blindness, and which were definitely devastating and not life changing. But my real suicide and all that happened, not suicide, but ideation happened when I got a master's in psychology, and then I started therapy, and then I started learning about my abuse. And then so that's going on. And then I was in a relationship that wasn't working, but I thought, oh, I'm married. I gotta be in that forever. Little did I know that, if it's not feeling good, get out. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't feeling good. And I was suicidal probably 4, 5, 6 times in a 10-year period. And if it weren't for the therapist, I might have done it, because I did have thoughts of doing it. I had the plan. And I can remember several times calling her, and she'd say, okay, I'll see, promise me you won't do it, and I'll see you on Monday, and all that, and just starting it out on pillows and being angry and just getting that pain and anger out. So it was hard. And it wasn't really the blindness, it was just life. But the blindness was in there too, because part of the relationship stuff was that the other person felt like they had to take care of me. And do my laundry and do this and that. And rightly so they didn't have to do that, but we got so enmeshed that was the dynamic, that they had to take care of me, and I wanted to be taken care of, which is totally 2 wrong ways to be in a relationship.
Sure. Please tell me that the abuse did not happen while you were under the protection of your parents in the household.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. Parents and brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did anyone pay for their crimes?
No, by the time I figured it out, I was in therapy, and believe me, I hit a lot of pillows and kicked and screamed. It took years, even with doing what they call EMDR and Gestalt therapy. It took probably 10 years to get that all out of my body and psyche. And it wasn't visual memories I had body memories. So, which society says isn't the same as a visual memory, but it probably is deeper in a way because it was my body that remembered the incidents that happened. Yeah, so we had to get it out of my body. And what did you ask? So then I tried to decide, should I tell my dad or should I not? And I kind of decided that, was it going to make a better relationship or was it going to cause a rift in it? And he was already 80, 85, 90. And I said, it's not going to improve his quality of life. And it's really about me forgiving versus him knowing or confessing. So I decided to let it go for him and to just do it from my end.
So they're not alive? They passed on?
Yeah, they both have passed on. Yeah.
And they never acknowledged or apologized or felt responsible?
No. They always thought I was out of my mind for everything. My sister, my family
no wonder they were in denial about everything. Yeah.
Yeah, everything.
And your twin brother, amazing.
He's probably the most. I don't know if he's the most denial, but he's the one that, my older brother and my younger sister, I could pretty well count on them if I need financial help or something. They don't live here, but that I could get that from them. I lied. My older brother lives here. But my twin brother, who lives in Florida, nothing. He will hardly ever give me anything financially or join us in phone calls or any of that. So I don't know.
Man, you shared a room with him. Wow.
I know. I think he feels slighted. I think my siblings feel, I can't speak for them, but I think they feel slighted that they think I got all the attention.
Oh, you were spoiled.
Yeah, and I'm spoiled, Yeah, they're the one who got a car from graduation and I got a braille writer. Well, let's see now. Yeah.
Let them wear your moccasins for 24 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Gail, just to put a new perspective on it, sometimes people, and I don't know your siblings, but just in general, sometimes people, when they feel incapable of helping and they feel powerless, being around someone and not being able to take their problems and pain away, they back off because being in your presence makes them feel inadequate. So they'd rather avoid that pain. And sometimes it's that. Again, I don't know your family dynamics, and my heart goes out to you and everything you've endured. And more so, my hat goes off to you for turning it around. But I just want to throw in that perspective of, Dave and I have talked about how perspective is everything. That sometimes when people are not being compassionate and not doing what we think they should be doing or what we expect them to do, it's not because they don't care about you. It's not because they don't, have empathy. It's because seeing you and thinking, this wasn't fair to you, what happened, and all that pain that surfaces, they just can't handle that. So they choose to kind of back off so that they don't have to deal with those icky feelings of not being able to help. And that may be the case for your twin brother. And there may also be guilt of him feeling like, we're twins, we had the same circumstances. I ended up with eyesight and my sister didn't. And there may be this secret guilt and self-blame going on in his head. No one knows. So, it's hard to sit here and think about people's feelings when we don't really know their internal dialogues. But what matters at the end of the day is that persevered and got through all that and came out of it a bit better person. The way you describe your therapist, I'm sure her expertise and knowledge of psychology truly helped you. But just the phone call you described about her saying, promise me this until I talk to you on Monday, I just got the feeling, and I want you to tell me if this is right or not, that it was above and beyond her just being a therapy. It was because you saw that someone cares about you.
Right.
And that created a commitment for you to, if I don't want to live for myself, I'm committed to this person. There's someone out there that,
right.
Her heart beats for me and cares about me.
Absolutely.
So I have this commitment towards her to not kill myself. Is that not part of it?
Absolutely. I mean, and she did, and we connect here and there now. But you have to make that promise as the client to somebody else to live, give them hope, and she did. She gave me hope, and she knew I'd make it through it, even though I couldn't see my way, even to that night, much less, the next morning, but she's right. I lived through it, and thank goodness I don't live through that anymore. Ugh. It was hard. Those 10 years were really hard. Yeah.
You've gone public with this, obviously. How has this affected the relationship with the brother who molested you? I mean, what's his reaction, and how did he respond? And has he ever acknowledged or, But you did a very important thing, forgiveness. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison, hoping the other person will die. You had to do this for yourself, whether they acknowledged or said, screw you, or whatever their response is. We do it for ourselves.
Right, absolutely. Well, my sister read the book, and I don't know if she read it all the way through. I mean, I asked her to read it all the way through, but whether she did, I don't know. So she immediately told my brothers to not read the book. She goes, oh, she slammed the family. She's just said all this stuff. It's all lies.
Wow.
Don't believe her, da-da-da-da. So, and they haven't. My older brother, every once in a while, will say things like, I built a Habitat for Humanity house, and then I had to sell it, but I lived in there for 10 years. And while we were building these rock wall garden things, which all this bricks and mortar, it was like 95 degrees, it was 100, I think, and we had a microburst, and it was hot, and we're out there with bricks and mortar and all this, building these walls, and he kept saying over and over, I don't know what I've ever done to you, but whatever I've done, I'm forgiven. So I think in the back of his head, he has a little inkling that he might have done something. But he hasn't ever mentioned it consciously, and I don't either. So,
well, I mean, they lived under the same household.
Yeah.
If your parents were that abusive, surely they were recipients of abuse as well, no?
One would think, because it usually goes in families. Yeah. And I've always wondered if my sister was, but
Still in denial, maybe.
Yeah. But I'm the only one who did therapy. I'm the only one that has feelings. It was smart. Yeah, well, I am the only one that has 2 masters, so there you go. And I'm the only one that I'm pretty good about expressing my feelings, and they all hide all that. So whatever that's worth.
Another reason to be jealous of you.
That's right. Yeah. Because I'm pretty real.
Like you.
Yeah, because they all make lots of money. They all, image is important, what you wear is important, the brand of clothes, all that stuff. And I want to look nice, but I don't have any Gucci anything or whatever.
Can I ask you, Gail, who's your caregiver?
Me.
Yeah, I was going to say she doesn't have one.
I don't have one. Nope. I have a person comes in and cleans my house every other week just from the county.
Send them over to my house.
Yeah, there you go. But that's it, and that's just to make sure what I do is, I don't have spaghetti sauce on the ceiling or something.
So who are your champions?
But you manage your own shopping?
Not normally I do, but right now I have it brought in because I'm in a senior high-rise building. And so we're not allowed to go out. I mean, we can go out, but people can't come in and stuff. So I have her bring it to my balcony.
Because of the virus?
Sorry, Dave. Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off, Dave.
Well, that's okay.
Oh, you can cut me off anytime you want. Was asking about your champions. Who do you look up to? Who is?
Well, there's all kinds of champions. In my, there's people outside like Louise Hay or Esther Hicks or Oprah or somebody like that. There's, John Lewis. I was just at the National Federation of the Blind National Convention virtually over the weekend, and there was 8,200 people all on Zoom, all run by blind people, phenomenally well. No glitches, I'll have you know.
Wow.
None, zero, soch. And evidently he gave a 10-minute speech to the blind community, a march on
John
Washington,
Lewis?
in 2007. Wow. I wish I'd been there. It'd been phenomenal. But so I think he's a new champion. It's like that 10-minute speech was great. In my own life, it was first my grandma, and she believed it. She saw me as a person. She didn't care if I was blind or not, and she loved me and she touched me nice, and she made good cinnamon rolls, and she was just.
Does she know what happened to you?
I don't know. I went back to see her before she died, and we had this great 30-minute conversation where she woke up from a coma, and I was the only one she woke up to talk to. And we had this great. Special. It was, and I got my whole faith in God from that whole conversation. But she woke up, and at the end of the conversation, she said, "Is there anything you want to ask me?" And I so wish I would have asked her. And I couldn't think of it. I was so caught off guard that I just went, "No, I'm good." But I wish I would have asked her that. Did you know?
I think she knew something.
Yeah.
But didn't want to, interfere if you.
Yeah.
Whatever.
She sold me to my mom for a nickel, but then my mom came back and got me. Wow. I would have much rather stayed with Grandma.
Yes. Hold on. I've got two phones, so. So you've already spoken about feeling discrimination due to your disability throughout life. How have they altered your life, and how have you moved on from that? I mean, was it hard for you to get over that, to get over the hurt? I mean, did all the forgiveness come all at once, or was there slow stages of forgiveness for you?
I think probably different ones were slow. And discrimination, it can be overt, or it can be really, really subtle, and people don't even know they're doing it. Some of the overt ones, I was a singer for a national contest.
Really?
And I was one of 7 people, and the repertoire was quite extensive, and we had all this repertoire, operas and oratorials and recitals and you name it. I had to learn it for this contest, and the judge saw me coming out on the hand of my accompanist, and I was supposed to sing for 15 minutes. I only did 10, and she wrote, and I left the stage in tears, and because she only asked me to sing the most easy stuff. It wasn't anything that was complicated or anything. And so my accompanist went up to get the critique sheet later that day, and it said on the top, "How do you expect to have a career in singing when you're blind?" I mean, that's just hurtful. And I didn't know back then about fighting.
What year was that?
1979.
Too bad they're not alive today to see some of the groups.
Yeah. I had no idea that I could fight, or appeal or do any of that. It said in the rules, that the judge's decision was final, so I didn't think I could say anything, so I didn't. And I think kids that are abused do that. We don't fight because we don't know we can fight, or we think we're going to get hurt worse. We don't do anything.
You don't think it's an option?
Yeah. No, because who knows what's going to happen next? So at least in my case, it's like, and it usually was proven over and over again to be true. So I didn't fight. I went to Santa Fe in 1990, and I had 5 discriminations with my seeing eye dog there. I wasn't allowed in a grocery store, in a quilting store, and a bakery. My friend said, "Are you going to let them tell you you have to leave?" And we went back in, and we sat down and had breakfast, where before we were just going to have donuts. So that's hard. It's like, really? And then I think they all take time, because, it's, and I know it's their blindness, not mine, but still, it's kind of hard not to take it personally in a way. The last one was with my last seeing eye dog, which Sarge, and I had him for 6 months, and a woman let her dog, they walked out in the middle of 2 major busy streets here in Denver, and she let her dog on a big long Fexa lead attack my dog in the middle of the street. So yeah, it was horrible. And people say, well, you know what happened? Well, no, I'm blind. I'm just on the other end of the leash. I don't know, but I know that he'll never, he's not my seeing eye dog anymore. He had to be retired. I know he's a police dog. I know that her replications caused, him to retire and me not to have a dog for 14 months. And it's, so now I feel my duty to educate people, and you got to social distance from blind people all the time. You can't pet, you can't look, you can't touch the dog. Every time you do it, it's it's a class 3 misdemeanor, but it's not a distraction. It is a distraction, which is a class 3 misdemeanor, but it's also, it takes away the training. Every infraction that happens, and the training is a matter of my safety and success. So if you pull your finger at the dog and say, hey, come here, then he learns that, hey, maybe I'll come over there because it's more fun, and I don't have to do what she says, so, it's really important that people get that it's not to be messed with, the team.
Well, I'm sorry about your singing career, but it's not too late to go on America's Got Talent.
I did that once.
Did you?
I did that once.
What
yeah, I got up at 3:30 in the morning for it. Yeah, I show up with my auto harp, and I probably should have, I don't know what else, but anyway, I show up and I sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and they said, we'll call you. Not. So I don't know why I didn't get it. I probably should have worn blue jeans. Instead of dressing nice.
Is that just the audition? You weren't in front of the audience and stuff?
Yeah, no, it's just the audition. Yep.
Well, they
but Gail,
turn down
I feel like
many
for
great
what
songs.
People are usually blown away by it. I mean, I sung Nessun Dorma for the National Miss Senior America pageant in 2013, where I was Queen of Colorado, and then I was 4th in the country, and blew them away with at 67, I still can sing opera and all that. So, yeah.
Hold on, we're taking a break.
We are a community of caregivers that understands and supports you wherever you are in your journey. We are a place to connect with other caregivers, but more importantly, a place to get practical, actionable help. There are lots of ways for you to get support. First of all, you can download our welcome pack. This will get you started on your Thrive journey. Next, you can ask and get answers to your questions by posting them here in our private Facebook groups. You can also get live online support by attending one of our live weekly Connect webinars. You can get practical, actionable advice by listening to our weekly podcast. You can hear and read other stories about other caregivers' experiences. Plus, add your own in our weekly Share Your Story forum, posted every Tuesday in the Facebook group. You can access essential resources and download practical Thrive Solutions packs, all of which are geared to help you thrive as a caregiver. You get lifetime access to all of our resources. Again, we're here to support you and help you thrive and to enjoy your life as a caregiver. And remember, this is a place to get hope, not just cope.
And we're back with Gail Hamilton and my guest host, Pantaha Vahidi. And you need to start all over because we didn't hear any of that. You were cutting out too much. Go ahead.
Oh, we were talking about Gail explaining to us that we shouldn't pet service dogs because it distracts the dog. And that was something I just learned. And what I was saying was that some people don't, lack of knowledge and education could get us into trouble. We may not have known that. Chances are the majority of people don't know that. And I was telling you guys about a story that one of my dear patients' daughter had lost her life as a nurse to suicide. And she and I were thinking of collaborating to start a program during COVID to prevent suicide. And while we were speaking, I said, nurses that commit suicide. And she corrected me, and she knows where my heart is, so she didn't get offended, but she said, Quanta, please, going forward, never say committed suicide, because the verb commit almost implies that it was a crime. We're used to coupling the word commit with crime, and suicide is not a crime, and it's not a choice, it's an illness, and so please say died by suicide or of suicide. And I corrected myself since then, and if you noticed, I didn't do it. But it was just a lack of knowledge and a lack of perspective on my side, and I felt horrible. But again, because we have a report and she knows that I meant nothing bad, she wasn't upset, and she just educated me on it. So, Gail, when you talk about all these things about people being mindful of not turning off the lights or not petting the service dog or not, speaking loud or all these do's and don'ts, I truly feel like we could all use education. And if anytime we don't follow any of those protocols, it doesn't mean that we're negligent and mindless or we don't care about people such as you, because we truly do. It just comes from lack of education. So, it would be amazing. And I know you're one of the advocates that's trying to educate people. And
absolutely.
That's wonderful. But we need the word out more often.
Yeah, I agree. I cried over Sarge. I did, because it was like, I don't know what it's like to lose a child or anything, but it was devastating to have it happen. And, in 2 seconds, that my life has changed and the safety was broken and the bond and all that. And he had to go. He's a police dog now, and I'm sure he's happy. But pretty much immediately, I wrote a letter, and I have a picture of of Sarge on it, and I do say, please don't talk to the dog, don't do this, don't do that, because it has ramifications, and I tell the story, what happened and all that. So I feel like my purpose on that front is to educate people on just control your dog. From the moment you step outside your front door, have it on a leash and keep it away from us. We don't need to be around. And don't pet my dog. And a lot of times, especially Colorado, I think I've heard it's the second most dog-friendly state in the country. So everybody comes up and says, "Oh, but I love dogs." Well,
how about putting a shirt on them that says, "Don't pet me, I'm a service dog"?
Yeah, they don't pay attention to it. I might do it again, but people don't pay attention. I've caught people in the act petting the dog, and I go, "I'm not petting," and I pick up the hand and go, "Really? What is this I feel on this dog's neck?"
I'm a little confused. If he was well enough to become a police dog, why couldn't he just be what's the word?
Be trained for a canine dog?
Yeah. Well, did he need training? Did it ruin him? What was the logic behind that?
The trust was broken.
Between who?
Between me and him, and between his focus was distracted by the other dog. Now, in his defense, what's he supposed to do if there's another dog an inch away from his face? But
so he was actively defending himself, which
he was. They were going around and around and around and barking and growling, and I don't know what was going on down there, but they were having a major
that it could happen again.
And fortunately the cars had stopped, but who knows, next time maybe that, he'd see a dog on the other side of the street, or maybe the dog, I don't know, maybe I could have gotten hurt. So,
and so as much as you missed him and felt sad about it, you couldn't trust him.
Yeah, the trust was broken. My safety,
I want to talk about what's going on in the world today. Everyone is a victim these days. You can't say anything without offending people. There are people groups who are saying, you need to have reparations for what your ancestors did and all of this. To me, it seems like it's all about unforgiveness and becoming a victim. And, certain politicians are just throwing gasoline on this victim because it's, gasoline will spread a fire. And the thing
that's true.
You can make victim spread by saying the wrong things, yet you overcame your victimhood. Tell anyone who's listening who believes that they are a victim for whatever reason why it's not good to have that perspective, to use Pantah's vocabulary.
Yeah, so many things. You can't put what we know today in our consciousness on the past. We can't say if they did or didn't know any better. I mean, maybe there's history and there's probably things written and we can say, well, they knew better. And yet, history is history, and that's the way that is. I can't change my past with my dad. I can't say today, oh, he shouldn't have done that. Well, he shouldn't. I can't say it was right what he did, but
you want to go to the graveyard and exhume his grave and desecrate it because of that.
Right, and he did, whatever in his past made him do what he did. I don't know if he knew better or didn't know better. He probably knew in some level it wasn't right. How can you do that to a 2 to 6 year old? I don't know. But that's between him and his God, and I can't put my today's morals on me. Maybe some people said, well, you should have fought. Why dare any 6-year-old to fight? You can't do that. So you can't go back and change history. You can't put today's values on, 1967 or 1892 or, on anything. You can't do that. Victims, if you find, when I was a victim, I didn't know I was a victim because you think it's normal. And so how do you know you're a victim? Well, one, I was unhappy. That was a pretty good clue that you're a victim. If you're crying all day long, there you go. Something's wrong. If you're out of alignment, that's what you're doing. You're being a victim. So you're unhappy when you blame everybody else for your problems. Oh, it's the government. It's my disability. It's my father. It's whatever it is. Blaming the it. That's one way you know you're a victim. If you're living in fear all the time, oh, I'm going to die of the virus. Well, you might, but you might die of walking across the street. Are you going to spend your time worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, or are you going to live today? The fear, negativity. Oh, life sucks. Negative stuff. Life's hard. It's a horrible day. It's going to rain. I don't know. Just all kinds of blamey, negative thoughts. Anger, blame, hate. It's okay to go through the feelings, but it's not okay to be stuck there. And so being a victim, so the opposite of victim is creator. So victim, you're going to be closed off. You're going to not be around other people, or you're going to hang around people of the same victim mentality. So creators, we like to be open. We want to expand. We want to grow. We want to have positive thoughts, not negative. Do anything that brings you joy, that brings you expansion, that positive, that you have to take responsibility for your actions. So, if I find something not going on right in the world, what can I do to fix it? Now, I couldn't fix my dad, but I could fix what was going on inside me. I can fix that. I can't fix the coronavirus, but I can go on podcast and I can write blogs, and I can play piano, so I can do other things that bring me joy. So it's a whole matter about your mindset and that.
Well,
Does that make any sense? I don't know.
We've gone over on our time, but I thought this was an important thing to talk about. And
I have one more thing I want to say, if that's
quick.
okay. Okay, so I thought if I had one thing to say is if you're a caregiver and you're working with somebody who is blind, newly blind, and you don't know what to do, well, one, just ask. They'll tell you. But don't coddle. You want to nurture, guide, and empower them, and you want to have high expectations. You expect out of us the same thing you would expect out of somebody that has 20/20 vision.
Good advice.
Wow.
Good advice.
Thank you
how
for
do we
sharing
get a hold
that.
of you? Buy your book, website, contact information.
Yeah, so my website is soaringintogreatness.com. My book's the same title, Soaring into Greatness. And I have blogs, and I have Pearls of Wisdom, and I'm on Facebook, and you can get it if you're blind. You can get my book from the Library for Congress, and if you're a person who sees, I guess, you can get it from Amazon and all that. So, cool. I'm out there.
Pantaha. I know both of us are offering free coaching for the month of July. How do we get a hold of you? Take advantage of that.
Just on my website, pantahavahidi.com. And
you're gonna spell it, right?
Caregiver out there who... Yep.
So that's the first name is like
LB in the title.
Pantea, and V like Victor, A, Hidi. And I'm at caregiverdave.com.
Fabulous. You're so inspiring, Gail.
Oh,
good.
It's
such a pleasure to meet you and get to hear you talk.
Absolutely. Anytime.
You're a modern day Helen Keller. I mean, maybe you didn't have everything that happened to her, but you've certainly got a lot on your plate. Yeah,
I've come through a lot. People read my book and go, "Oh my God, you're such a victim through your book," and I go, "Yeah, but it has a good ending."
When did the book come out?
Like 6 years ago.
Okay, and it's still being read. It's
still
a great
being read.
book.
I hope so. Yeah. Soaring into Greatness.
Well,
Why not?
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you for
send you the links when I get them done, either tonight or tomorrow.
Perfect. That'd be great.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so
Good
much.
seeing you as
so
always,
much fun
Dave.
doing a show with a co-host than all by myself.
Yeah, that was nice. It was nice hearing your associate. That's right. And it was nice hearing your perspective. I appreciated that.
She's very big on perspective and on compassion. So
I think both are important.
That's her middle names.
We should do that.
Yes.
Okay, I'm a
Go ahead.
Being a caregiver, suffering from an illness, and the caregiver and everybody else in the world needs compassion. And to be compassionate towards them, you need to have a fresh perspective and know that everyone's suffering in their own lives. And, those who mistreat others, such as your father, are just projecting the inner conflict and the pain that they have within them.
Absolutely. I always thought he didn't get over the war.
Suffering.
Yeah.
So anyway, talking to you, Gail.
Totally agree.
Thank you, Dave, for having me.
And we appreciate you listening. Sorry we went over. We'll talk to you all later. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you.
Sometimes it feels like the sun will never rise, like the birds will never sing.